Call the meeting to order. We have 7 of 7 members present, so we do have a quorum. If you'd stand for a word of prayer, Reverend Harden's going to lead us.
Maybe bow our head. Our Father, our God, we thank Thee for another day, and we respect Thee for 2 Timothy 2:15. We say, study to show thyself approved unto God, a workman that needeth not be ashamed, rightly dividing the word of truth. Thank Thee that we can consecrate and come together and make decisions that are wholesome to our community. Now bless each one that's here. Bless our board, bless our superintendent, and may what we do be accepted not only by you, but within our community.
Yes.
For it's in your name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Reverend Harden.
Thank you, sir.
All right, our next first item on the agenda is going to be open forum. If you'll give me just a second, I'll read this one time. If that's all right, if anybody needs me to read it later, I will. The open forum segment is a time set aside for people to address the board with their concerns or statements about school-related matters. In order to ensure that all presenters are afforded the same amount of time, a timer will be set to ring after 3 minutes of presentation. This will act as a warning on your 5-minute allotted time. A second timer will ring at 5 minutes. At that time, the presentation will conclude. All presentations and remarks shall be directed to the board. The allotted time for presentations is not a time for audience participation. If audience members desire to address the board, they will need to have signed in as other presenters. As we cannot discuss personnel in open session, please do not refer to district employees by name. Failure to comply with presentation policy shall result in forfeiting one's right to continue with the presentation. Ms. Stewart?
My name is Vicki Stewart. I know most of you. I became concerned when I first started hearing the number of teachers that were leaving this district. These were not just teachers that didn't want to make a long commute or prepared to retire. Instead, were veteran teachers that were well-grounded in our district and our community. Many of these teachers repeatedly have used the term to me, "I've had enough." I ask you, what does that mean to you, the board? What measures have been taken and thought out to find what had enough means? My immediate thoughts of hearing this term was, enough of what? What do they have enough of? Do y'all ask? The number of teachers we've lost in this district is not acceptable and should never be considered the status quo. I come before you tonight simply asking you to find out what had enough means and beg you to listen to their cry for help with a keen ear. Just today, I heard we had teachers retire that were not even acknowledged, much less rewarded, for their 30-plus years of service to this district. That's a shame. We should be ashamed of that. I was shocked when I heard that, and I hung my head in shame. Each of you were elected to this community to protect this district and ensure the quality of education provided is the best it can be. If you are making excuses for these departures, then you're part of the problem. And I say shame on you. If you state these departures are acceptable because we are known for a high turnover, then I ask, what measures have you taken to improve the turnover, and why do they continue to increase today? If you're attempting to find out what had enough means and looking toward solutions to improve the turnover rate, then job well done. I'll remind you that that's more than some of you gave our veteran teachers when they left. They were never told job well done. I also had letters or statements from 3 others that asked me to read it for them because they couldn't be here tonight. They felt it was important enough. They wanted you to hear what they had to say. But because of the time constraints, I don't have time to read them, but I've got you a copy, and I'm gonna leave it with you. Along with an article out of the Huffington Post that was titled, 10 Signs Your Child is in a Failing School District. I hope those of you that haven't read it on the internet take time to read it. Compare your district. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Stewart. Ms. Weiss?
First of all, thank you for the opportunity to speak tonight. My name is Bridget White. I was raised in Jasper and am raising my family here now. I want nothing more than to be a part of the solution concerning the mass exodus of teachers. I feel that I can provide some insight into this recent discussion concerning the departure of so many teachers because I too left at the end of 2014. At that time, I had taught second grade at Pew for 5 years. I feel like I was a good teacher. I received all high evaluations from the various administrators during those 5 years. From my experience, I can tell you that I did not leave because I had a better job offer. I didn't follow my spouse, and I didn't take a job at a private school or neighboring school district, though I was offered jobs by 5 different administrators when they found out I was leaving Jasper. I didn't want to go to another town because I want my children to go to school here. We live here, and this is our community. This is our town. I left because I felt like teachers here had no voice. I felt like the workload expected of teachers at Pew was completely unrealistic. I, like so many others here, left because I wasn't valued. Some would argue that teachers leave to take a job closer to home, like in Jefferson or Hardin counties. Those teachers were hired in Jasper to begin with because there was a vacancy here that was very likely created because of the teachers who actually live in Jasper but drive outside of our city to work elsewhere. I believe teachers don't give the real reasons for leaving because they fear the repercussions. When I decided to leave, I told the truth. I gave a copy of my resignation letter to my principal and to the superintendent. I had hoped that I would be given an exit interview, but I wasn't. Why is this? Shouldn't you want to know why you're losing good teachers? I had lots I wanted to share, not for the purpose of tearing down, but for repairing and building up again. I wanted to be a part of the solution. When the community realized so many teachers were leaving, I asked a good friend and excellent teacher who had left Pew to teach at Kirbyville what she liked most about Kirbyville. She said that in Kirbyville there are very few discipline problems. If a student gives her trouble and she sends them to the office, that's all the principal needs. They didn't require documentation of a warning, a parent call home, a timeout, a huge paper trail of previous problems. So many times I spent hours documenting behaviors so that I could prove that the child was causing a continual disruption to the classroom. Why did I have to prove what I saw and knew? My word wasn't enough. I felt I wasn't trusted, and it seemed that my professional opinion of disruptive behavior didn't matter. Discipline is a huge problem at Pew and Parnell. I know because I've seen it myself. I cannot understand why some choose to ignore this issue and pretend that it doesn't exist. I've seen administrators sit with students for hours in the hallway because the student couldn't or wouldn't behave in the classroom. What does this accomplish? Children who cannot, for whatever reason, sit in the classroom without being a distraction to other students should not be allowed or expected to stay there. Why does Jasper not have an alternative campus for students who cannot behave at school? Why do our children have to put up with this? Why do our teachers? Why did a teacher at Parnell have to call the police herself when she was struck by a student because the assistant principal did nothing about it? Why did a student punch his fist through the glass of the cafeteria during lunch and, to my knowledge, not receive expulsion? Some students are a danger to themselves and to others. I had several different students move to my classroom because their behavior was so bad, their previous teacher refused to have them back into their classroom. I myself once had to refuse to teach a student because I felt it was my duty to protect the majority. Why, after begging for help and asking what to do, did I have to write a letter refusing to have a dangerous student back into my classroom? Shouldn't the principal want to protect the other children, the teacher, and the student who's out of control? I saw students throw things, rip things off the wall, hit and kick teachers and administrators. I believe if a student cannot act right on campus, they should be moved to another campus entirely where they can earn their way back to the regular classroom through rehabilitation. Discipline isn't the only reason we're losing good teachers. Our campus has so many different meetings, spreadsheets to complete, reports to turn in, along with DMAT data collection. I simply do not have enough time here and now to tell you everything I'd like to. Please contact me if you have questions. Though I'm currently selling real estate, my heart is and always has been with teaching. I will continue to support Jasper ISD in whatever way I can. Today, that means speaking the truth about our problems. Let's make some changes that will make our community believe in us again. Thank you. I have a copy of my resignation here also, later. Yes.
Thank you, Ms. White. Ms. Hines?
Who's coming? You're starting when I'm starting? I'm Kim Hines, and I worked for JISD for 15 years. New board members have been asking why veteran teachers are leaving, so I'm going to sum up all the events just leading to my resignation and call it "How to Lose a Loyal, Hardworking, Successful, Diligent Teacher in Under a Year." The summary of my story is practice utter disregard. Step 1. Let a chief financial officer disregard my expertise and integrity by tirelessly stonewalling my request to make purchases so that I give up attempts to spend the budget allotted entrusted to me. What does this district do with an unspent theater budget year after year? Step 2, have the top district administrator assemble a principal hiring committee, and then when that committee unanimously names a candidate as their first choice, and we'll call him Trevino, the superintendent should disregard the request and hire someone else they ranked much lower, giving them a mysterious reason that he has bigger plans for Trevino. Incidentally, Trevino is now serving at high school principal in another district, and in 1 year that position makes him superintendent alternate. Top administrator and board members in late 2014. Disregard teachers, parents, and students' claims about basic academic needs, such as staff shortage, lack of educational equipment, and unmet budget requests. Shortly thereafter, disregard the rights and feelings of all JISD stakeholders by conducting in an underhanded manner a vote to build a multi-million-dollar facility. Disregard decency and ethics by quietly posting the agenda that includes this important board vote. Don't announce it or encourage stakeholder input or support, which you would have gotten. It's okay because you're holding a trump card of the information was posted, you should have looked. Disregard the right way in order to get your way. And then, once the building project is announced, continue to disregard questions about staff shortage, lack of educational equipment, and those unmet budget requests. Top administrator, disregard fact in favor of facade. Make misleading or misinformed statements like, discipline is as strong as it's ever been. If there is data behind that statement, it doesn't reflect strength and discipline. It may reflect decreased or non-existent consequences like ABC and ISS for the sake of lower numbers, though, which is something TEA grades the district on. Also make the statement that the primary cause for the district's turnover this year, which is at this point more than 1 in every 5 teachers, is that they take jobs closer to their homes in Jefferson and Hardin counties when it's possible. I can only think of 2 teachers at JHS to whom that applies, and of the remaining 9 who I know of left JHS, most of us will still be making a commute. Disregarding fact in order to present facade is commonly called spin and has no place in a school district where integrity should be the greatest role. Top administrator, disregard teacher workload. Christmas 2013 and 2014, JISD staff received retention bonuses. I calculated $40,000 in bonuses, a sizable symbol of district appreciation. But what was the real cost of that symbol? In the spring of 2013, 6 months before the bonuses began, JISD teaching staff shrank from 215 to 196. 43 teachers left and only 24 were replaced. Downsizing by 19 teachers is a savings of at least $665,000 per year, yay. But it means that on average, 9 teachers are doing the work of 10 that used to be done by 10, serving an unchanged student population. The well-publicized balanced budget and bonuses, and perhaps a portion of the mysterious surplus funds for the sports complex, were partly subsidized by a decrease in teaching staff. And this is disregarding teachers as a most valuable asset in education. Campus leaders, you too can participate in the utter disregard. When preparing to hire an assistant principal, disregard over a dozen staff requests to hire a candidate who's loyal to the district, proven on the JHS campus, and strong in discipline. We'll call him Bert. To hire a complete unknown who has little experience and doesn't appear to even plan on moving to the community. Incidentally, Bert is now happily serving as AP at another district, and I believe JHS is looking at him. Disregard the need for stability and order at JHS by announcing that you're switching to an untrackable, unenforceable tardy policy and wait until the afternoon hours of the last day before school starts in the fall to make this announcement. The result, tardies bring absolutely no consequence, and last-minute major changes will become the norm at JHS. Disregard highly qualified teachers' morale and hard work by drafting a harshly worded letter, making nearly impossible demands of teachers who have what you consider excessively high failure rates. The ridiculous demands might make discouraged teachers change failing grades to passing ones just to avoid the hassle. Disregard the spirited efforts of a teacher trying to rally school support for a team of regional bound student competitors and instead write her a caustic letter of reprimand over her semantics and your bruised ego. Disregard student conduct and behavior considered unacceptable in any workplace or social setting, but permitted at JHS. In any teacher-student conflict, question only the teacher's actions and let the misbehaving students live outside the rules of the school and society in general. The disregard of extreme misbehavior can be practiced until that behavior becomes the new standard. Disregard the majority of a teacher's emails, some concerning student conduct, some presenting ideas or suggestions, some making requests for permission to do campus-wide activities. I would love to get back into my JISD email account and count how many emails went completely unanswered, disregarded. Disregard a letter of resignation from a teacher who did volunteer work with 3 student clubs of 20, 50, and 80. Make her ask you 40 hours later if you even received the letter and answer her, yes, good luck. Disregard is an effective tool and if used correctly can drive away many more loyal staff.
You say I don't do this very often, so bear with me. Let me begin by saying I love JHS. I spent 18 of my 34 years here. We have a good group of teachers. This past year was the worst year in my 51 years of teaching. I watched teachers take more verbal abuse than I've ever witnessed. I heard more vulgarity and cursing directed at teachers and students than I have ever heard anywhere. I saw many teachers just give up on discipline. It wasn't worth sending them to the office and having them come back, and sometimes for the same things they were sent to the office for. As y'all know, I follow sports teams. I take pictures of as many kids as I can. I get so tired of spending countless hours at Walmart photo machine, but those pictures mean a lot to our kids. At graduation, every senior in the high school gets a minimum of 1 picture, but most times it runs into 2, 3, and 4 pictures. I do not charge for my pictures. I do this because I love what I do. I love Jasper. It's my home. And this is switching things here. Let me say that we're losing our history here at JISD. We have only one athletic trophy case other than the front trophy cases you go into the building. Some people don't even know it's up there, but when you go in the double doors, go in there and look at the 14 state championships that this town has got. Trophies in yearbooks, they're part of our history. Right at the end of school, a teacher walked by the dumpster and there were a bunch of school yearbooks, Jasper High School yearbooks from years past. That's part of our history, and it's thrown away. Today I talked to my youngest daughter. She said, Dad, I've got you a plaque for your years of teaching. I didn't receive a single sheet of paper or a plaque after 51 years of teaching. I just didn't know what to do but walk out.
Mr. Fulham.
My name is Alan Pullman. I'm going to be starting my junior year at JHS this fall. The reason I'm here today is because I have some concerns for my high school and its future. Y'all probably don't know this, but I personally practically live at JHS. I often get to school first in the morning to study for one of Romano's geometry tests and stay well after 9 p.m. working with Miss Hines for OAP. My friends and I spend most of our time at our high school. The only people that I'd say spend more time at school would be our teachers. As you all hopefully know, there's an alarmingly large number of not only teachers, but great and experienced teachers leaving from specifically Jasper High School. These numbers are neither good nor average. However, the scariest part is not the number of teachers leaving, but who they are and the fact that they are driving 20 miles down the road to go teach at Kirbyville or Brooklyn. Now, I know that y'all all know about the whole teacher situation. However, I'm going to tell y'all about something that y'all probably never heard before. I call it A Day in the Life of a JHS Student 2014 to 2015 edition. These are all true stories of what happened to me and other JHS students over this past year. I start off my day at Jasper High School by pulling into the back parking lot at 7:30, planning on going in for some last-minute tutoring. I make it all the way to the stairs where I find students loitering and one actually stretched out sideways sitting on the stairwell. At that time, one of my JHS administrators happened to be coming down the stairs, and instead of telling the rude student to politely move, he begins to accusingly question me about where I am going. After politely saying that I was going to receive tutoring, I was then told to go back downstairs and loiter until the bell rings. So I did. I loitered in the hallway versus furthering my education. Meanwhile, the student on the stairwell wasn't told anything and continued to lay out playing on her phone. Later on in the day, there was an assembly where one of my administrators told the entire sophomore and junior class to challenge our teachers and not take no for an answer. Now, I don't know about y'all, but I was raised to know the difference between motivation and disrespect. And let's just say nobody took that as motivation. I enrolled in a pre-AP World Geography course in order to be challenged. The teacher left at midterm, and since JHS couldn't find a replacement, we had a substitute and busy work for the rest of the year. Also at midterm, a student with a long history of class disruption and misbehavior was moved into the class. So we didn't learn another thing because all the focus went to getting him to behave. That was from our former student council vice president. Once during a guest speaker's presentation, a lot of kids were being loud and disrespectful, but no one corrected them. At 9:35, I got up quickly from the back to go to my dual credit class, and an administrator called me out and said, "Where do you think you're going?" I was confused and outraged that out of all the students acting up, I was the one who got called out just for trying to go to college. That was from our salutatorian. On the first day of school, I wore a skirt that had a sheer overskirt. The skirt itself was solid and was down to my knees. However, I was stopped by an administrator and was told that he could see my undergarments and sent me to ISS. That same day and almost every other day, I saw numerous girls in shorter and sheer skirts, but no ISS. The inconsistency has been unbelievable. Also, another JHS administrator told me that he was going to keep my diploma if I didn't come to school on the day that I had an important scholarship banquet on. I had my mom call the school, and an administrator told her I was goofing around and skipping school. Meanwhile, at the school, dozens of students walked around the halls disrupting, but I was the one busted, even though I was exempt from all my exams. And both of those came from our valedictorian. Despite the issues that we students are forced to battle with every day, we all agree that the inconsistency and lack of discipline are the biggest problems facing Jasper High School today. My fellow classmates and I are the ones who walk the halls and experience JHS firsthand. So take it from us as I read you these next few quotes regarding the discipline at Jasper High School. It's the teacher's job to teach and the administrators to enforce and stay consistent with discipline procedures. It's a shame we're losing the people who are actually doing their job. Fair and consistent discipline is necessary in shaping any child's future. Without this consistency and fairness, nothing will ever truly get accomplished and nobody will ever truly be content. That came from our former student council vice president. Punishing kids who aren't doing anything wrong but letting the kids who are bad get away with stuff, just so we have the right discipline ratios, is not the way to fix a school nor make it look statistically stronger. And that came from our valedictorian. Jasper has a lot of great things, teachers, counselors, and people. I hope that the school board will commit to resolving the problems that have caused so many loyal and experienced teachers and students to become discouraged. Please do not continue to ignore these issues.
Thank you, Mr. Poole. Ms. Brattenthal.
I have been
teacher for 38 years. 25 years were with Jasper Independent School District. I resigned last year after experiencing the most stressful year of teaching in my career. Only my students made it bearable. There were numerous reasons it was so stressful. I will give you a few examples. At the beginning of the year, the administration treated myself and another teacher significantly disrespectfully concerning a new skills class that was being implemented. At this time, there were no materials and no curriculum, but results were expected. Later in the year, the administration expected me to implement another program that had been partially funded with grant money. However, they did not seem to be familiar with the concept of the program. Therefore, it could not be implemented because it could not be incorporated in a traditional classroom setting. It required centers and other items which we did not have. I also felt we were enabling students. I believe in giving students chances, but when you go to the extreme, you do them a disservice. Also, too much freedom eventually creates an unsafe and unsuccessful school. Our students had way too much freedom last year. Although our scores improved this year, I believe this environment will eventually cause a deterioration. For these reasons and others, in my opinion, I feel that the present administration, which includes our superintendent, is inept and untrustworthy. So although I will make less money and I will be driving, I chose to accept a position with another school district which has a reputation for trustworthiness and treating its staff with dignity and respect.
Ms. Bridenbaugh, what district is that?
Hardyville.
Mr. Jones?
Thank you for allowing me to address the board tonight. I waited 10 years, 2 months after my retirement as superintendent before I started coming to school board meetings. As you may or may not know, I chose to spend 32 years in Jasper ISD because Jasper is a good place to live and a great place to rear children. During that time, I was privileged to work with many outstanding educators, many of whom chose to make Jasper their home. What I'm seeing now is too many of our outstanding educators leaving for other positions. I know that some educators leave to go home or get closer to home. Some leave so their drive to and from work is not too far. Some leave because they are unable to secure different positions in the district. However, some of our educators leave Jasper to take positions in districts close to us and may even commute more than they did previously while continuing to live in the Jasper area. As a result, tonight I would like to propose 15 questions or concerns that I have regarding our district. Question number 1. With the loss of teachers, reduction of staff, and reduction of budgets, what are the impacts on the instructional programs and best practices for delivery of services? Number 2, are staff being provided the resources necessary to provide a quality instructional program? Number 3, is there data to support that our students are taking advantage of the Angelina campus by taking dual enrollment classes? Are we offering our students AP courses? What are the results of those AP tests? And if data is available, where can it be found? While we spend several $1 million on athletic facilities, which are drop-dead gorgeous, by the way, are UIL academics and co-curricular programs having to raise funds in order for students to attend these other UIL events? Number 6, are we taxing to put funds in fund balance that will be used to build special projects? Number 7, are we planning an additional building project after the athletic facility is completed? If so, how will that project be funded with JISD having to cut their existing budget? When administrators submit and the board approves each budget, are the administrators given the ability to spend those board-approved line items, or do other administrators make that decision? Is the purchasing process for the district user-friendly, or is the paperwork involved to make a purchase so involved that staff just do without or buy the item or items themselves? Are purchases done in a timely manner, or do several individuals have to complete paperwork prior to making a purchase? Number 11, according to TASB Facilities Assessment, athletic facilities are not mentioned for the first 5 years. My question is, what is being done about all the areas of need that were addressed by TASB for years 1 through 4? Number 12, are all programs from custodial to AP classes to special education staffed appropriately to provide best practices in all areas? Number 13, has the board inquired as to the perception the community has of the district? 14, why are so many of our quality staff leaving JISD? Things to consider: salary, student discipline, lack of administrative support. Is staff respected and heard by administration regarding their areas of expertise? Is there fear of losing their job if they question the administration or disagree with administration? Or is there just ineffective leadership? And lastly, is the current administration building educational programs for students to be successful prior to and after graduation, or are we building resumes? Thank you.
Mr. Jones, do you have those written or typed out where I can have those, please? Reverend Harden.
To our board and to our president and to our superintendent. I worked in Marlin for 13 years. I served as vice principal in Marlin, and then after I was called to Mount Olive, I left Marlin and came here. During that time, a number of the teachers confided in me that had husbands that were going to Baylor and going to Mary Holland Baylor and other going to Connolly and other colleges and trade schools around there. And some of the teachers would come to me and say, Reverend, if you know somebody that you know is good, that can serve, I'm going to leave here in 2 years. So my husband is getting his PhD at Baylor, and just as soon as he gets his PhD, we'll leave. A number of them come to me and will tell me, and they have to drive 30 miles from Waco, usually, to Marlin. And they left because their husband wanted them to leave in some cases. Now I think this, I'm here to help. I ain't trying to tell them. Jasper's been good to me. And if I can help Jasper, I'm going to do it whatsoever. Now don't get mad at me. I'm just speaking my opinion like everybody else. And I got that right. I pay my taxes good. I don't owe no taxes. I see a little something on the radio. I said, be careful how you treat me, because someday you might need me. And I'm not responsible for how you treat me. but I am responsible about how I treat you. We made progress in the last years and so, and you know, my hometown called me and said, what y'all doing down there and all like that. And I want something positive and something good, please, Mr. Street. I can call them back and tell them, board, say, I want you to know Jasper making progress. And we made progresses in our grades this year. I checked it last year, and this year we made progress. And when I was vice principal, Mr. Lumpkin didn't have to entertain nothing. He was my principal. I took care of all the discipline, took care of all his problems, and we were in a black era, and after basketball games, he had the money. But I treated him just like he was my father. Enos Lumpkin was my principal, and when he got ready to go home, I would take care of him. I think it's a togetherness, to understand, and trying to help somebody, not after somebody. It's enough of it going on as it is. What are we doing in East Texas? We on the radio and on the TV. They show love to come to Jasper so they can pick up some mess. But can't they pick up something good? What's wrong with it? What's wrong with it? Something good come out to them. And finally, every year, there's somebody seemingly in East Texas getting hurt or mistreated. I would hope that we would get the sheriff, and we got a good sheriff, the highway patrol, the highway patrol, the sheriff, the chief of police, and the constables, and go out to our schools. Now, they might be doing it already, and talk to our children, and tell them that when you get stopped by police, now, I'm positive, I ain't trying to tell out nothing. Do this or that. And I've told my boys, if you get stopped, you just humble yourself. Don't be trying to talk back. And I'm saying the same thing to each one. Why can't we get somebody out there and get the highway patrol, the sheriff, and a constable, I ought to get all the constables, to come and talk to our kids before school starts. We don't want a tragedy to happen, that somebody gets shot in the back because he left the police or somebody happened. It can happen, but I hope it never does. I said myself, let's think of something positive. The athletic business out here, I passed by it today, I passed by Sotard that I did the other day. Sure looking good. Yeah. Y'all know. Yeah. Sure looking good. And we want to be sure that we keep it up. For the first time in 40 years, I'm coming to a track meet. And I hope I'll be one of the marshals. Amen. Thank you. Yo, man, don't get mad.
Next item on the agenda is our consent agenda. Does any member need an item pulled for consideration? With that, is there a motion to accept the consent agenda?
So moved.
Mr. Barnes? Mr. Sales? All those in favor? No opposed. Moving to our business action items, A will be consider and if appropriate approve appointments. Dr. Scusi.
Thank you, Mr. President. You have your seats, you have an amended appointment listing. We have Carolyn Barnes, 6th grade English teacher at Jasper Junior High. Holly Brewster, 3rd grade teacher at Pew Primary. DJ Brunner, PE teacher and baseball coach at Jasper High School. Kevin Dickinson, English Language Arts, Jasper High School. Stephanie Jennings, Assistant Band Director. Robbie Hines, LPAC District Coordinator. Catherine Maxwell, kindergarten teacher at Few. And Pamela McBee, Assistant Principal at Parnell. Nutrition recommends you approve the appointments as presented.
Recommendation for the board, is there a motion?
So moved.
Mr. Barnes, is there a second? Mr. Next item, consider and if appropriate approve employee compensation schedule. Dr. Scusa.
Thank you, Mr. President. Through the budget workshop process that we've been involved with since the first week of March, we've been provided information regarding district budget, expenditures, revenues, and so forth. And in your packet, you have a comprehensive compensation plan for the 15-16 school year. The compensation plan includes an average 3% raise or hourly increase for all employees, calculated out midpoint, as we have done for the last 2 years. And this will bring salary increases to a 10% increase in the last 2 years. The superintendent recommends that the Board of Trustees approve 2015-2016 compensation plan as presented.
Recommendation for the board, is there a motion?
So moved.
Mr. Seal. Second, Mr. Hildebrand. Any questions? Comments? All those in favor? Motion carries 7-0. Next item will be consider and if appropriate approve redemption quitclaim reports. Dr. Scusa.
Thank you, Mr. President. Members of the board, you've got documentation in your packet. Our tax attorney firm, McCurry, Paselka, Bragg, and Allen, request the Board of Trustees approve the execution of a redemption quitclaim deed for 1.3 acre real property in abstract 2 of John Bevel League, lots 1 and 2, Jasper, Texas, in accordance with section 34.21 of the tax code. Ms. Snyder is with us tonight. Wave at us, Michelle. If you have any questions, hear us from the tax office. Administration recommends the Board of Trustees approve the execution of redemption quitclaim deed as presented. Excuse me, .93. I said .39. 0.93. That's damn correct.
Recommendation for the board, is there a motion?
So moved.
Mr. Seal. Is there a second? Second. Mr. Barnes. Any questions? No comments? All those in favor? Motion carries 7-0. Next is consider and if appropriate approve student handbooks. Ms. Willems.
Last week, each of you received a copy of the 2015-2016 JISD Campus Student Handbooks, Code of Conduct, that have been prepared by each campus principal. The student handbooks consist of 2 sections, Campus Student Handbook and a Student Code of Conduct. The Student Handbook section outlines guidelines and procedures specific to each campus, while the Student Code of Conduct section is consistent for all JISD campuses. The administration recommends that the Board of Trustees approve the 2015-2016 student handbooks as presented.
Recommendation for the board, is there a motion? Mr. Seal. Is there a second? Second. Mr. Sales. Any questions for Ms. Williams?
I have questions. I'm not sure that Ms. Williams is the one I should direct them to, but in an earlier meeting, I questioned the sign-off lines, the signature lines of the Code of Conduct as well as the handbook, and I was told there were no signatures. So my question is, are we going to have each student, each parent sign off on these documents, and do we retain copies of those signatures?
The signatures for the handbooks, originally every parent has received a copy, but I believe last year, since we went to online registration, that we post our handbooks online.
Is there?
So I cannot say.
So we don't know if students get them or parents get them or not?
Right. Now they can sign and request a copy of the handbook.
So why can we not make sure we put a copy in every student's hand?
We can.
I think that it's important that we do that and that we have some confirmation that the parents, the student, have reviewed it, signed off on it, because these materials right here are the root of a lot of problems we're experiencing right now.
Yes.
So, and my job is a trustee, and I hope everyone understands what trustee implies and means. I don't take this job lightly, and I'm assurance that these handbooks are going to be followed to the letter of the law. I need that. And by the way, my only real personal issue in the high school student handbook, my name is misspelled. That's a no-no. And I would, seriously, I want the assurance from all of the administration, all leadership, that we'll follow this, because those consequences, those discipline issues, they fall at the feet of our leadership, not teachers. That's not their responsibility. Now, there was a couple of items that I observed. A couple of the handbooks have the district calendar in them, and one or two don't. And I think it would be beneficial to a lot of parents if that calendar was inserted in that student handbook. Thank you.
Thank you.
There wasn't a sign-off on any of the past registrations through, once you went online, it was, wasn't there an, okay, I agree, or
You agree to several things. Yes, at one stop.
Because you know that it's available online.
Yes.
you just didn't get a copy unless you wanted it?
Right.
Request a copy anytime you want. But the board wants everything to have one in their hand, because you want it in their hands.
Well, let's look at the people that are less fortunate, that don't have internet access. How are we getting those across?
Well, that comes to the campus, they're provided the.
Not everybody can get there. Send them home.
We can get them on.
We've got to stretch it.
Let's read it again, see it.
Any other questions or comments? All those in favor?
Do we have a motion?
I think we already.
Mr. Seal and Mr. Sales. All those in favor? 1, 2, 3, 4. Those opposed? Motion carries 4-3. Next item is administrative reports. No board president report tonight, so we move to Dr. Scusa's superintendent report.
Introduction report, Mr. Kirkshank, can you come forward, please, and give us an update of the progress of our project?
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. How about those fields?
Yes, looking good.
I have to say, this is the favoriteest part of my job, where I see things starting to get together, and it's awesome. It really is awesome, and it looks gorgeous. Firstly, health and safety. No incidents or accidents to report during the last session. No near misses to be on site either, and we continue our weekly toolbox talks. The last month we've had chemical storage toolbox talks, the importance of site safety training, construction site hygiene, and working with solvents. Obviously these are very key to what we do. We've got some mixes on site that obviously are chemical related, so we make sure that our guys are safe. Inclement weather, our favorite subject, very topical. We received some more rain in June, so that all being said, we are still fully committed to August 1st. But I would like to caveat, please don't batter me the next time around if we like maybe a week or two behind. We are really trying hard to make the August 1. It will certainly be substantial, and it will certainly be functional. So we'll have some tidy up to do, but by and large, it will be done. So our guys are working really hard through the course of the weeks. A lot of our guys on site are pulling 7-day weeks, spending very little time in the laundry room. So if we go by and they don't kind of disrupt the smell, I apologize in advance. But they are working really hard. And I hope you see that in the fields as well. It really has taken concession building, we've got plumbing that's gone in, we've got the electrical fittings that have gone in, and it's, we're slowly bringing everything down to a close. So last 3 weeks, we're heading straight for it. Site excavation, we're busy moving a lot of the topsoil around, so that way we can hydroseed, hydromulch, and get some grass going. So if you see a dozer pushing dirt, it's not because we're excavating, we're done with that. It's now pushing topsoil around so that we get some good cover. Our track crew started and started putting out the black mat across the asphalt. So we got the main straight done today, and we'll continue doing that for the rest of the next 3 weeks. So we'll have black mats in the next week, and we'll have structural spray, which will cover that, and then we'll have our striping for the lane track. Bleachers, we poured in a lot of the foundations, and we started assembling the framework towards the back end of this week. So big push. We've got a lot of people on site, so it's going good guns. Like to finish off with site security. We still maintain site security, but again, you know, kids want to go and have a look-see. It's fine. Just make yourselves known. I know that Dr. Scoozer and Coach Barbie and some of the team go around and have a look-see. I would want to. So just make sure that the kids and everybody else is aware of site safety. So, all right. That's me. Do you guys have any questions? Can I field anything for you at this time?
I have a comment.
Okay.
In case no one notices, Hilton's not one of us, okay? When he uses words like car park and Main Street and if you need any help, he'll get with me after.
I have been told I'm from Jersey, but...
Next item is appointment, informational item only. Dr. Scooter.
Paraprofessional appointments, we got Ricky Mel, instructional aide at Future Primary, Jennifer Adams, who was with us before, is coming back to help man the behavioral unit, which is a new position at Jasper Junior High School. Other informational resignations. And we have Lily Barnes, special ed teacher at Tarnell, Lacey Gillis, counselor at Jasper High School, Brad Akers, assistant principal at Jasper High School, Bonnie Harrington, counselor at Jasper Junior. Bonnie Ingram, fifth grade teacher at Tarnell, Jim Jones, first grade teacher at Peter, and Kelly Wiggins, second grade teacher.
With that, we'll move to our financial report. Ms. Horton.
First report in your packet is the all funds combined. Now the $31 million revenue budget, we received $26.4 million, which is 85% of the revenues that we budgeted. Our expenditures are $24 million, giving us an excess of $2.3 million. The next report is just the operating fund. The budget on there is $25 million. In revenue, we received $21.5 million, 86% of our revenues. Our expenditures, last month we did a budget amendment to amend the budget for the amount of overage for the athletic complex of around $3 million. So our expenditure appropriations are $28 million, and we received a little less than $20 million of that 28 has gone out, which is 70% of the appropriations, giving us an excess of 1.7 at